dating this older guy, and his mom lived off of 8th Street, and he found it, and he was a huge foodie. So she suggested that we go there as work friends one night, and we all went, and it was amazing. We like to try new restaurants and new cuisine, and Hy Vong is the one restaurant though that we've always been back to, and it's, the girls always wanted to go there. It was only special occasions because it took a long time. So, but every birthday, Kathy catered both my middle daughter and my younger daughter's first communions. I remember we went to the church, the pop-up at the church. And my husband and I are divorced, and we came in, and she looked at me, she goes, "I'm sorry, but I just love Chip." I mean, she just knows everybody. She knows, and it just, that connection she makes with people is amazing. We've tried other Vietnamese restaurants, and the food is just never as good. And it's just, it's different, and they don't have the same dishes. And then they're never, if it's a similar dish, I've never found anything to be nearly as good as the food at Hy Vong. We would tell everybody that, you're going to go, and the service is slow, but the food is amazing, and it's going to be well worth your while. Plan to go and spend 3 hours there. I have a terrible story that I'll tell you guys. We were in a food club. And so every week we would go, or once a month we would go to somebody's house, and that couple would host the food night, and they'd make all the meals. And then one month, the couple who was supposed to host canceled. So we'd been talking about Hy Vong so much. And so we all went there for dinner, and we were sitting at this table. You're probably not even going to use this, but it's a terrible story, and I tell everybody all the time. It was a huge group of us. There were 10 or 12 of us there. And the waiter was being particularly not friendly to one person at the table. And it was like everything she'd asked for, he was really short with her, and we couldn't understand it. And then Kathy came out, and she looked around the table, and she looked at this couple, and she looked at my ex-husband and I, and she goes, "He's right. I told him there's no way he's right, because these two are such good people." And she points to my husband and I, and she goes, "But you were here 3 weeks ago, and you drank all of this beer, and then you left." And the whole table was mortified, but she remembered exactly who they were. We shamed them all into paying the bill from the previous time. And it was, to us, it was funny at the time, but just the fact that her memory and her ability to connect with people is just unreal. Guilty or innocent? We were like, nope, guilty. They definitely did it. But that was one of the ways of Hy Vong. And I can see where if you didn't understand, the process was you got those drinks, but when you came, she knew exactly what you drank, and she put it on your bill. And they didn't understand that. So they had 2 or 3, got tired of waiting, and they left.
We never waited though. I remember being a little kid and being like picked up from school, and then we would go home, change our clothes, and get right back in the car. I mean, we lived in Broward, and of course the restaurant was on 8th Street, so it was rush hour traffic. You got picked up at 3:30, you changed your clothes real quick, and then we hit the road. And on the way there, we're like grilling each other. What are you gonna order? Are you sure you've got your order ready? We got to make sure we're ready to go as soon as she comes to our table. So yeah, we always. We never.
Yeah, we made sure you learned the ropes. We made sure we were there right when they opened, so we were one of the first ones to get in. And then you knew you just were going to sit a while. But and if you ordered pork rolling cakes, then you got them when everybody in the restaurant ordered them. It doesn't matter, if you were there first or fourth, and it was just part of the experience. And it, it's always what made it fun. I bought everybody a copy of the book. I've tried 3 of the recipes, and it's just the story is worth it just by itself. But those recipes are just such amazing memories. And
I finished it the first day I got it, because I got it early, and then I immediately drove to my mom's house and dropped it off. And I won't lie, the first thing I did was flip to the salad dressing recipe, and I was shocked. And immediately texted my entire family. I was like, you're not going to believe it. Like, you will not be able to comprehend what is in the salad dressing. And then sure enough, I made it, and it's spot on. It was really cool. Hy Vong was such a family place for us. It was like my mom said, it was where we went for birthdays and for celebrations. And I sort of knew about Kathy and Tung, and I sort of knew about the story of Hy Vong. But for me, it always just sort of existed in my bubble, not the other way around. And so it was really cool to read their story and get the full history behind it, and just give me a whole new appreciation for the food that we had cherished for so long.
My mom was born and raised in Italy during the war. She had to escape from her home. She lived in a cave for a period of time. She was separated from her family, so she had a pretty traumatic upbringing. And then my dad was American. He was in the service there. They got married and came over here. And just reading some of the things that Lynn wrote about her mom, it was just very parallel to my experiences, where my mom worked 6 days a week, and she didn't ever really like to talk about her childhood and growing up. And it's not until later in life that we've kind of gotten to know her and been able to hear her stories. So I identified a lot with that portion of the book, because there was just so many similarities there. There's just never been a restaurant like that in my experience before. And I think Hy Vong kind of spurred my love for just trying different kinds of foods, and what the place looked like didn't even matter. And as a matter of fact, the less fancy it was and the more rustic it was, more likely the food was going to be good. So it spurred a lot, I think, of our restaurant and culinary journeys.
Yeah, absolutely. I reading the book, it definitely, brought to mind my grandmother, and not just that, but my grandmother, my mom's mom, hates to eat out. Like, she's never quite satisfied. It's always better when you eat at home anyways. And Hy Vong was like always the exception to that. Like, she was always down to come out, for a big meal at Hy Vong. So that was always really cool. And I mean, absolutely what my mom just said about, the maybe the smaller the restaurant, the less or the more unassuming, the better the food. I mean, I've had the opportunity to do a little bit of traveling and a little bit of eating, and I definitely have taken that lesson with me everywhere I've been, because I mean, the food there was just, unparalleled by almost anything I've ever eaten to this day. And so, it just goes to show you, can't judge a book by its cover, right?